This conference will now be recorded.
Vai, Alejandro.
Great. I have to say, it's the first time I use this platform. I think it's quite similar to Zoom, so I think I can kind of coordinate myself in it. But do I need to know anything? No, right? Just
The chat is on the right.
okay. Good. So I'm
everyone.
Alejandro Cordero. Hi. So I'm Alejandro Cordero, and well, I am representing the Union of European Federalists, who just recently moved to the same building as Humans. Yeah, so I've been working a lot on the conference on the future of Europe, and now with the current situation, we've been reallocating resources to kind of shape the Federalist position on coronavirus, which I've been doing last weeks. And well, I was in touch with Virginia, and I don't know how much I will say today, but I definitely want to hear you and know how you're progressing and what you're discussing, and maybe even be able to bring a bit of what Federalists are presenting at the moment also. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. Iga, just for the others that don't know you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Iga Kamocka. I work in a Polish Robert Schuman Foundation in Warsaw. We are a civil society organization working with European education and civic education. So promoting European values is our mission. At the moment we are also engaged in fighting disinformation and fake news in public life and also connected with the coronavirus. Of course, working from home, everybody, and trying to organize ourselves and our European Solidarity Corps volunteers, and it's a challenge. And to put everything into online life. Maybe I can have, if we're still waiting for someone, I can tell you about actually a terrible situation we have in Poland now, because we are supposed to have the presidential elections for the president of Poland in May, on 10th May. And our authorities, they want to have those elections. How much absurd it is. But concerning limitation of citizen rights, this is a great example how to exclude people from voting in the elections. I'm pretty sure the elections will not happen, but our current government and authorities, the parliament, they still want to, we have the right-wing government and the right-wing party with the majority in the parliament, they still want to do the elections in the situation we have now. So that's for now.
And Iga, if I can help, just as a comparison, in London we were supposed to have the mayor election in May, and that has been postponed to next year.
Yeah, well, I think that's obvious. It should be obvious, isn't it? I think it's like a political strategy to wait to the last moment. Actually, today the parliament is working on the new law that everybody will be able to vote, by correspondence, which is technically in Poland impossible. But they will not manage it before 10th May to put it because we have two parts of the parliament and the how to say it. So the Senate, the opposition has the majority and they can postpone it for a month. So they will not put that law. But anyway, we are actually now fighting also for the rights of citizens, in Poland. Yeah, but of course the elections should be postponed. Yes.
Yes, maybe they want to do the election just because they know, they are pretty sure that for now they would win, but after the coronavirus crisis they don't know, and so this is just the electoral democracy mankind, what I am trying to find.
Probably, yeah.
Let's finish quickly the round just so we go through everyone. So we got Timo. Do you want to say something about yourself for those who don't know you?
Yes. Hi everyone, it's Timo. I'm gonna try to turn on my camera. So very quickly, I also launched the European Citizens Initiative last year. I remember presenting it to most of you back in July. Sorry, you can see. And now I'm actually here to talk about a campaign that we are going to launch with Pierre Larouturou. He's an MEP. He's the General Rapporteur for the budget 2021. So he's trying to build a coalition within the Parliament with all political parties and groups to really make sure that the European Parliament is pushing for a very, very ambitious budget in 2021 and during the whole MFF. I'm not going to enter into details. Maybe we come back to this later. It was just a tour of the tab, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pepin,
thanks for having me.
Thank you, Timo. Pepin, I don't know you, so I want to say something about you.
Yes, hello. I just also wanted to ask if everyone could turn off their microphones when not talking, because there's at least on my end, a bit of an echo. Thanks.
Yes, my fault. It was my daughter crying. I'm sorry.
No, I think it was like the sound. Well, whatever. It's better now. Thank you. Yeah, so I am not really involved in a European level. We got an invitation to join this meeting actually 2 weeks ago. So I'm here a little bit to sort of share who we are and maybe see where that can go. So I'm a member of parliament in Brussels, in the Brussels Regional Parliament for Agora, which is a citizens' initiative that wants to organize a citizens' assembly assembled by sortition and give them political power, which is why we participated in elections to get one seat. So I'm representing politically the decisions of this citizens' assembly in the parliament of the Brussels region. And so the idea was that we would have decisions almost by now, but of course, since this crisis is happening, it's difficult to get these people together. And so the idea is to have a permanent citizens' assembly in the long term, in 5 to 10 years. In the meanwhile, we want to represent this citizens' assembly that we organize to show that they can take good decisions and that they don't, well, basically just to convince the political field to implement such a thing on a structural and long-term basis. So this is our project in Brussels, which of course we would like to see multiplied in other European cities, countries, or on a European level. And I guess I'm here a bit to listen to you guys, to see what this meeting is actually about, see if we can find some common ground somewhere. Yeah, just see what I can get out of it. Also, I will have to leave at the very latest around 7, probably a bit before. I'm just, yeah, a bit short on time these days. But so you know, if I leave, it's not because I don't like you guys, it's because I have to go.
Thank you. Quickly, we got Nicholas from Sweden. Do you want to say 2 words, 3 words?
Yes, hi, my name is Nicholas. I'm in Sweden, but I'm not a Swede anyway. I'm active in an association which is called Europa Federalisterna, which wants to be a branch of the European Federalists, the Union of European Federalists. Hi, Alejandro. Yes, we recently got involved with e-humans because we like to promote democracy. We believe that democracy is something essential if we want to build a European Federation. And I'm here to listen to you and see if we can bring forward a common initiative. Yes, it will be beneficial for all of us and for the European Union. That's all.
Thank you, Nicholas. So since it's already 6:15, I suggest those who didn't introduce themselves can do it in the chat, just a few lines so that we all know who is who. but I would kick off the meeting. That is a bit easier and quicker. If it's for you, it's fine. So I'll just kick off with a bit of background on the meeting so that we are all on the same page. So this is a weekly meeting that we started to coordinate as co-organizers of the Council on Participatory Democracy. The Council on Participatory Democracy is so my name is Virginia Fiume and I am the coordinator of Humans, which is a project of a movement of European citizens and a network of organizations that use participatory democracy instruments to have a political impact on specific issues, particularly around democracy, environment, and quality of life. And it was founded by Marco Cappato, who is with us. Together with other organizations, a few months ago, we launched the idea of the Council on Participatory Democracy as an open space for organizations and individuals to discuss two main things. One is the strengthening of the instruments of participatory democracy. Sorry, the only ambulance of the day. Okay, let's try. So together with ESIT Foundation, and we have Beniamino here and European Alternatives and others, we called for this 2 days meeting that happened 2 weeks ago with a focus on the instruments of participatory democracy, how they work, how they should work, the conference on the future of Europe and the shape of that, and the democratization of the European Union. Alongside with that, we discussed ways how to use participatory democracy to have some policy proposals that can join multiple citizens across Europe and organizations alike. So not only talking about the methodology of participatory democracy, but also how actually it should be used across borders at a European level. When we first called the meeting, there wasn't the coronavirus, then the coronavirus happened. So the Council on Participatory Democracy took the shape of a special assembly around what could be done or what should have been done or could be done to tackle the emergency. Therefore, we came out with a petition to the European Parliament, which differentiated itself from the multiple appeals that are going around Europe nowadays, because it was using an official instrument, which is the petition to the Parliament. We submitted a petition 1 week ago. We collected across around 6,500 signatures across Europe. And what is more interesting is that we were able to trigger a discussion around the emergency discussion of this petition. So basically, I'm going to put the link here, but basically, usually the petition committee, it takes a very long time to process new petition from the citizens, whilst we were able to trigger the urgency procedure. And today there was the vote in the Petty Committee around our petition and other petitions on the COVID emergency. And it's still unofficial, so we're waiting for the final confirmation. But it seems the coordinators of the political parties in the Petty Committee decided to call for a special session in May to discuss all the citizens' proposal around coronavirus. So this is an achievement that we had pushing this and also taking the perspective of citizens and civil society organizations into the debate around the management of the crisis. I'd say the purpose of today's meeting is double-folded. The first one is to start to have a debate among us on the issues and the instances, but also how we can carry on this initial momentum that we were able to create around a federalist approach to the management of the coronavirus proposal. If you have seen the petition, it's not only on the health part of the needs, but it's also around economic responses, social responses, and the role of the European Union within the global institution. So it's pretty wide and broad. So this is one angle. And I think the other angle is to try and discuss together how the work of the Council on Participatory Democracy can be carried on, considering that there are a lot of venues and platforms discussing particularly on the Conference on the Future of Europe. So probably what differentiates this network is around the use of the instruments and the use for specific policy proposals. I will probably leave Marco to give some other perspective, but I think these are the two main lines of discussion for today.
Thank you, Virginia. I see that also Monica Frassoni, who is a veteran of the European Parliament, former president of the Green Group, is connected with us. Ciao, Monica. I just wanted to add that probably it could be important to convene on a regular basis the Council on Participatory Democracy. Last meeting was on the 16th of March, so we could maintain more or less the same date for a new meeting. And as you said before, even if we have a different organization with similar but different specific goals, I think that we can be united by the methods of activating participatory democracy. What Peplin Kennis was saying about the Agora initiative is very interesting. I didn't know about it. And we also think that this is very important, and it could be an institutional reform that we could propose to the European Parliament and European institution to call for citizen assemblies, not only for facing this crisis, but in general, as a way for involving citizens on major aspects of European politics. So I think we should join effort on that. During the meeting of the Council, we discussed the issue of information. This is crucial because well, Samuele Nannoni also and his organization Oderal in Italy is the most active organization on citizen assemblies, and we know how important it is to have the citizens informed. So in the European Union, at the European Union level, we have a budget. There is a European budget for information on elections. So there are 34 million euros, something like that, to remind the people they should vote. But there is no campaign on how a European citizen initiative could activate, how a petition could be activated and then discussed, or how the European Ombudsman could be activated. So what we should ask is not only institutional reforms, but also investment on informing the people. I think that this is really important. I don't know if Lorenzo want to integrate on the issue of citizen assemblies at the European level, because we had some discussion on that during the Council, and this is one of the issue that of the path that we should follow. Lorenzo.
Well, Marco was just mentioning some of the current initiative and the upcoming initiative that we want to start with humans. Concerning participatory democracy, Marco was mentioning what we call the Equal Dignities campaign. So the idea that we should have the same financial and information investments both on electoral democracy and participatory democracy at the EU level. And the other thing that Marco was mentioning is that idea of European Citizen Assembly. The conference on the future of Europe will be a kind of European Citizen Assembly, even if the way by which citizen will be chosen is still not clear, and also the objective of the assembly are not so ambitious. So some ideas that we're thinking about, and we also are in touch with other organizations that are thinking about that, such as European Alternatives and many others, is to propose maybe an could be an ECI or another kind of initiative, to ask a new draft of the conference, a new shape for the Conference on the Future of Europe. So that could be a proposal on which several organizations around Europe that are involved in electoral democracy or citizen assembly could work together on. And apart from that, the main idea behind humans that Marco and Virginia introduced is to be a kind of non-electoral party, service party, we could say. So even if for those who may be not interested in acting at European level, we are also interested in promoting what you are doing and maybe help in what you're doing at local or national level. For instance, we were considering soon to have a kind of newsletter on participatory democracy, and we already started podcast in English on participatory democracy. So everything that could be useful to spread what you're doing also at national level, it's interesting for us. And apart from that, of course, the main focus is the European initiative that we were mentioning.
So in the meantime, I just received another update on the petition on the European from the coordinators on the petition to the Parliament. So basically, they agreed that in May there will be a special session, but they will decide in another meeting which will be the 6 or 7 petition that will be discussed during this special session. So basically, apparently there are a few proposals on the coronavirus through citizens' participation. And I think also the fact that there is no transparency for other citizens to know what was on the table today, I think it's another element around information and awareness bit. I mean, probably there were several groups across Europe that were working on proposals on the coronavirus, and the fact they didn't know each other doesn't help the creation of transnational proposals. So now I think we need also to put on the table the fact that we need to make sure that our proposal gets discussed.
Okay. Virginia, is maybe worth to mention the fact that we are still continuing collecting signature, even if the petition is already tabled. I think that, for example, regarding what is happening in Hungary and in Poland, but in general around Europe, the situation is very tense with the parliament. But of course, the situation in Hungary and Poland went much far. It would be very important if we could involve from Hungary and from Poland other groups, organizations, I don't know, intellectuals or even politicians, and in other countries too, because what is missing now is really a European people reaction. We all have national debates, national mobilization, national political initiative. What is lacking now is a common European initiative. I think the decision taken by the Parliament today to have a special session of the European Parliament plenary in April, even if this was not on the agenda before, I think this is a good decision, because at the end, the meeting of the European Parliament is the only public meeting of European institutions. All these meetings of the European Council among governments representatives are all behind closed doors. They are secret meetings at the end. So I think that if we are able, with this initiative, there are also others maybe, but with this initiative to express the idea of a common European people, public opinion, trying to react united, not just as a national public opinion, I think that this it could be a good thing. And of course, even if I talked to Manlio Trovato in London, even if formally speaking, British citizens can no longer sign petition to the European Parliament, but from a political point of view, to have maybe groups and politicians and VIPs from the UK also could send a strong message. So my invitation to all of you is try to contact your network, even independently, autonomously, as your own organization. But if you are able to collect signatures and then to communicate to us the names from the political point of view, this could have an impact, and this is the right moment to do it.
One thing that I wanted to ask Timo, who he thought it was a pure humans meeting, while it's a bit broader than that, but because Timo, you mentioned this initiative around the Green New Deal, and basically one element of the petition that we have is, as I said, around the climate, the Green New Deal. So I thought it could have been important for you to share what your proposal is about, and also see how maybe the climate crisis ties to the coronavirus crisis, and which type of strategy you have around that. I think it's good to keep all the topics together as much as possible and see what's going on the ground.
Yes. Thanks for asking. So I'm going to try to be short. We have three main proposals. The first one is phasing out all fossil fuel subsidies, but also prohibiting European banks and insurance companies that have assets in the fossil fuel industries. So the proposal would be to leave them for 5 years to make sure that all European-based banks and insurance companies get rid of all their fossil fuels assets. The second proposal is to make sure that the quantitative easing, so the money that the ECB, the European Central Bank, is creating, it's over 200 billion a year, even before the coronavirus crisis. So it's a lot of money that is, I'm not going to go into details, but it's basically buying debt already in the market. But our proposal would lead the ECB to, when it creates money, so when it creates artificial money, it lends everything to a European climate bank. So this is a coordinated proposal. It will be the creation of a truly dedicated European bank for climate. Now the EIB, the European Investment Bank, does lend money to European companies and to national and local authorities, but with the lending capacity that is not enough to make sure that enough green investments happen in Europe. And our last proposal is a tax on profits. So as you might not be aware, there's a race to the bottom for the tax rates on profits in Europe, because, for example, in Ireland, it's very low. I think it's 8%, whereas in other countries, it's over 30%. So to make sure we don't suffer, that our national budgets do not suffer from this race to the bottom for the profit taxes, we want to implement. It's been an old idea in Europe, a common profit tax, which would be 5%. So 5% of all the European companies' profits would go into the EU budget, and all that money would be created. All that money would go into the EU budget and would be only reserved for climate investments. So that's how you would, on one hand, reduce subsidies for fossil fuel investments, but you also create a climate bank with a big lending capacity that allows you to float all the needs for green investments, and you also have more direct funding. So not only lending capacity, not only lending money through green investments, but also the EU will become a much bigger actor because it will have a bigger budget, bigger financial resources, thanks to this European profit tax that would improve the EU budget by about 100 billion euros a year. So these were our proposals before the Corona crisis. We had a campaign that was supposed to last the whole year. And as I was explaining before, Pierre, so the MEP I'm working for, he's general rapporteur for the budget 2021. So obviously he's in touch with the council, he's in touch with the ECB, with all the political parties. Our campaign is really not something partisan. Because we've got so we have now an open letter that is going to be published hopefully by the beginning of next month, and it has already, so our proposals, this open letter, have already been endorsed by many politicians and many MEPs from all political parties, so it's nothing partisan. And yeah, I wanted to maybe just explain to you guys quickly the campaign, because now we really want to work hand in hand with civil society organizations, with NGOs and initiatives from the bottom that engage with policymakers. And yes, so we are more focused on climate, but we're also gonna refocus our letter, our demand following the crisis. So I still don't know how, but Pierre is gonna also call for Corona bonds or Euro bonds. So yeah, maybe that's something we could work together with. Very quickly, as I was telling Virginia and Marco earlier, Pierre cannot sign the letter because of the mutualization of debt. Because unfortunately, that's something, as a general rapporteur for budget, he cannot endorse this, but he still wants to help you with whatever needs you have, and if we could collaborate, that's perfect.
Perfect. This is really the right spirit. As I said before, we don't need to agree on everything. I mean, each and one of us in our organization, we have different perspectives, different angles. But the idea of having this Council on Participatory Democracy is exactly the idea of uniting forces on the methods, and of course, as much as possible, also on the methods. So we have this European Citizen Initiative on carbon pricing that maybe could be of some help of the strategy that you just presented, and I'm sure we will find many common grounds for joint action. Thank you.
We have Alejandro who wants to talk. You have at the bottom of the app. Let me see if I can help you. Can I? No. Alejandro.
I think I'm on now. I lost this operational panel, and I couldn't find the micro. So I have a couple of questions. Mainly, I actually lost track because I don't know who you guys are representing, which organizations. So it's difficult to know what initiatives are you actually talking about. So I wanted to ask those initiatives, now the private ones that you are explaining. So that one from Timo, last one, and actually the one on the party that I didn't really got clear. Those are not part of this participatory democracy council, right? Those are like individual initiatives from different organizations that are taking part on this proposal, on this platform. And then the petition is the one which you are trying to wrap up together and have like a common. So that was my first question. If you can, Virginia or Milano or Marco, sorry, answer to that, like the structure for me to understand, that would be very helpful. I also have a question for Timo regarding his proposal. He mentioned they are focusing mainly in the environmental part and Green Deal and all the synergies. We also talked about the Conference on the Future of Europe, and I want to ask Timo whether they also previewed that, and within their proposal, they also give an answer to what should happen with this Conference on the Future of Europe. And yeah, and my last question was regarding the different, well, like actually, Marco, you mentioned we need to do from this initiative generally a European public opinion thing, so it has that strength. So my question is, how do we, or in that case, how do you, or do we do that? Are you mapping the different proposals that are happening now? Because I think it's kind of, it was difficult before to monitor what's going on, but now since everything happens online, it's actually very difficult to know what's happening and what different initiatives are happening at the moment in order to create that cohesion. So how are you guys doing that? That would be my third question.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna start, right? To be 100% honest, because actually the whole campaign was supposed to start much earlier back in January, we haven't planned any link whatsoever with the convention with any conventions, whether it's on the future of Europe or with yours yet. Simply because although we do work with a lot of NGOs, it's mostly environmental NGOs, so they haven't been, that involved with the conference on the future of Europe. But that's definitely something we want to change, and obviously, because I believe we also need this change of narrative, it would be great to put the Green Deal and just something green at the heart of the new narrative for Europe. How we can build a vision for Europe. I really think, I guess most of you will also believe that this needs to be our main goal: more solidarity, greener, braver, call it what you want. So yeah, that's something we haven't thought about yet, but that's something, we're really good to engage with civil society organizations. Am I answering your question?
Yes. Thank you very much, Timo.
Sorry, with regards to how this works. So the idea is that we don't have a clear idea of how it ends, because it's a sort of a self-convocated approach. But the whole point of this is we all have, as organizations and movements, different initiatives, goals, and missions that we want to achieve. So I think the point here is to identify which instruments to use that are existing instruments of participatory democracy, or potential new instruments such as the sortition-based assemblies. Try to see how they apply and where they work, where they should work better, because when they should work better, we can act more as a network to propose changes, to work on the changes. And on the other side is to identify those areas of overlapping of initiatives where using instruments together can strengthen the position in the European public debate. So the thing is a bit double-folded under these two lines. And the petition, the You Can Do It petition, the one for the coronavirus, is a practical experiment of how this could work. So it was conceived collaboratively during the 2 days of the Council on Participatory Democracy, and now collaboratively we can bring it on, and so it's also a shared type of approach, because from a content perspective, it has a clear vision for Europe. It's not just random things, and in this way we can also see, for example, I make you an example just to explain. In the petition, there is a reference of the guarantee of the rule of law, even in a state of emergency, even when it's normal that there is a state of emergency, certain rules are needed, but the rule of law should be the foundation of whatever it's decided. So what Iga was mentioning about the elections in Poland is a perfect example of a situation of emergency. I mean, Poland has problems with the rule of law beyond the coronavirus, but for sure this unveils the thing and increase the sensibility of other Europeans toward Poland. So the thing is how we can use this concept of state of emergency and rule of law, and how maybe we can all help IGA to gain support in the Polish community so that this can become part of a European debate on the instance. So I think it's a it's a process of using the tool, creating the opportunity, discussing together, identify the best tools, and work together when the tools need to be reformed. I would summarize in this way the approach. But we can discuss it together because that's part of the thing.
But I think it would be important in order to be all aligned, the one who already participated to the first meeting of the council and the people who joined later on, to have a second meeting of the council. Of course, we will propose this also to the other organizations that are not represented today. But if there is no major objection to that, I think we could maintain the objective of meeting, I would say, the same date, the 16th of April, to have not 2 days like last time, because maybe 2 days is a little bit too much, but to have 3-4 hours in the afternoon for having a meeting of the council and to prepare it with all possible document and proposal. I think it could be a good idea to go on this path.
I think there was Nicolas who raised his hand, and then Alejandro.
Yeah, talking about tools, I personally believe that going for petitions is maybe a better way to go at this stage, because although driving an ECI is wonderful, it's quite difficult to reach 1 million signature or even several hundreds of thousand signatures. So yeah, maybe focusing on petitions looks more feasible because of the dimensions, not that ECIs are bad. That's what I wanted to say.
Totally agree. To be honest, we had 2 European Citizen Initiative and the petition on the COVID, probably because it was close to the heart of the people, but it already had more impact than the 2 ECIs somehow. There is Alejandro and maybe Lorenzo.
Well, super briefly, I just wanted to thank you for the answers. From my side, because I just wanted to hear you, and I will be leaving a bit in 10 minutes. I'm gonna also link the statement that we have as federalists, because if you're interested in seeing that, there's a lot of synergies with your petition, which is something that I'm going to reread to also explore the synergies. I will also write you, Virginia, an email. And I also, and this is like an addition, my last comment, I liked that you mentioned, Virginia, at the beginning also the federalism as a principle, as a guiding principle of your proposal. And of course, we will be there supporting that as much as we can. It would be interesting to explore what does exactly mean, not only in the institutional part, which, as you said, also Marco, we might not agree on all the points, and imagine a federal Europe or a more integrated Europe or a more European Europe might actually mean a lot of different things to each of us. But it would be interesting for us, for the European federalists, to also understand what is the framework of what does it mean, federalist approach to this petition or to this Council on Participatory Democracy initiative. That would be very interesting to highlight it, define it, and to find its place within the whole common position. Yeah.
Maybe on this, I don't know if Monica can talk right now, but her and Lorenzo were those who kind of did the final editing on the petition from a political perspective and the approach. And I don't know if Monica, who defines herself as a federalist first and then a green. So I don't know, Monica, if you want to say something about how the petition plays somehow with a transition to federalism to a certain extent.
Yes, good afternoon. I don't know if you can see me, probably not. Yes, yes, okay. So let's say that as it was very well explained by Marco and by Virginia, the idea of this work is, as they said, a work in progress with participatory democracy at the heart. This means that there is an ambition to participate to the relaunch of the European Union project, among other things, but done through a much stronger attention to what are the main challenges from one side, so climate, democracy, etc., but also calling to the responsibility from a point of view of quality of the European institutions. And that is actually one of the most important elements of the petition we did, and that is, Parliament, you have a role, you have to play it, and Conference of the Future of Europe, you also have a role and you have to play it. So I think that this idea of a sort of dynamic federalism, in which you are certainly attentive to the way in which the European institutions do not work and should work better, according to certain challenges which are perhaps more present today than before, is matched with the idea that this thing will never happen only through an institutional mobilization. It also needs more, not only information, but really motivation and participation of the people, using the instruments that are there. So this is a little bit our way of seeing that having a more integrated Europe is absolutely necessary because of capacity of decision making, but also absolutely because the current way of decision only makes the intergovernmental and more national actually route, which is less effective, prosper. So I don't know if I was clear, but our idea is really to match the two things. To call the responsibility and the mobilization of the European institutions, and also to base it and on the mobilization and interest and participation of people. There is not one which is more important than the other.
Thank you, Monica. I don't know if this dynamic federalism has been already theorized, but it's pretty cool. Lorenzo wanted to say something. We are heading toward the end, so after Lorenzo, let's try to wrap it up a little bit.
Right, just a few words to respond to Nicholas that was mentioning the instrument of the petition. I agree that it's a more manageable instrument, especially if compared to the CI. At the same time, I think in order to be impactful, it could be a good idea. I think that Monica has her microphone still on. Thank you, Monica. And what I was saying is that maybe an idea could be to find European personalities to sponsor and support our petition that are maybe related and symbolically related to the topic. For instance, me and Samuele Nannoni from Oderal, we were trying to convince David Van Reybrouck to support a petition on a European Citizen Assembly. We will try to write him again. For those who don't know, David Van Reybrouck is a political scientist supporting Citizen Assembly in his essay, and the idea could be to find someone that means
the name. Can you say the name again? David?
Oh,
did you say David Graeber?
No, Van Reybrouck. It's
Van Reybrouck. Okay, great. Yeah.
Sorry. So this is just an example. If we this could be one of the goal of the next council to find and prepare a package of petitions and identify some personality that could support the single petitions. Maybe you're in touch with names that could be useful in this attempt in your countries.
Michele, no, Omri, and then
Yes, so my comment is more to do with the current Corona situation than the participation elements that we're talking about now, but I think it connects quite well. Last time when I was at this meeting, I talked about a campaign that we're hoping to launch, or more of an initiative than a campaign, essentially a way of connecting a lot of these democratic, citizen, and solidarity-driven initiatives to a broader audience. What we're looking to do is to start essentially a social media hashtag of one good thing, where basically a lot of different initiatives could post using the hashtag about, one good thing that I did today would be, sign this petition, join this meeting, support this cause, make this donation, and it could allow people to connect from the local level to the European level, and then we will work to connect different kinds of influencers and artists to the initiative. So it's really a way of connecting up the different voices that we're seeing, and then as it picks up momentum, we would hope to connect it also to organizing online events and citizen assemblies and participation methods. So I said last time I would send you more information about it. We've been working with a lot of partners to kind of design it and plan it out. So if I could basically just await an email from me, I'll email you some more information, and then everyone would be welcome to basically just use the initiative, get on it to promote your own stuff. Essentially, that's what it's for. So that's
yes,
it.
please. Yes, please send us the information. It's very important.
Yes, we'll do as soon as possible.
Okay, I have one last question for Iga. If you are aware of anything in Poland that is being raised by citizens on the electoral issue, like if there are any, and also if at a local level there are instruments that can be activated, such as interrogations or other forms. Of course, I mean, you can't talk to a government that doesn't want to talk with you, but I think the contradiction sometimes helps to pave the way.
Yeah. Actually, this is also what I wanted to say, that I generally think that, well, in Poland we now have like two directions of the petitions or appeals or statements. Well, one is today I've heard about one of Polish intellectuals to the European Union. I had it open somewhere, but I think I closed it. But anyway, well, it's generally about more solidarity and help for everyone, which more or less is well, it's not the same as our petition, but it's kind of the same idea, yeah. So there is a statement of Polish intellectuals for the European Union concerning the elections. Well, of course, there is a lot of happening. We actually issued well, it was like in media and social media, and which actually was quite widely distributed later on. We had the first statements, I think, like 3 weeks ago, was it? The situation is so dynamic, I can't say, but I think it was even 2 weeks ago. It was quite widely distributed by others in social media. Also, there was well, the biggest and one of the most active CSOs in Poland. Well, we have one email which we're connected with. Yeah. So we are in touch all the time. I get like really a dozen emails every day from that chain, so we are connected, and we also exchange information there. And this is also a way for us to organize ourselves and to sign petitions. So of course there was a petitions prepared by the civil society organizations and signed by really dozens of organizations in Poland concerning the elections. But well, generally the problem is that our authorities, well, they don't care about anything. It doesn't really matter who will say what. They don't even care what the EU authorities, what the European courts say, So it's really well, we can say, but if they will do what they want, Of course, we have to protest. That's our role, but we really don't believe, we can't be quiet in a situation like we have at the moment when there is a violation of of citizens' rights. But actually, they will do what they want. I think the situation in Poland. Well, it's not good, but it's not as bad as in Hungary at the moment, where actually the democracy is like a mythology at the moment. But I'm actually quite scared that we will have the same situation in Poland. So that's also why I'm really glad that the petition that actually mostly you created. I will not say that I created, but you created. There was the consideration that it's really important to the measures that were introduced to increase the security, that they will be limited after the pandemic finishes, because I think that in Poland and in Hungary, I think the most dangerous. Well, it might be continued, and that is dangerous. And we can protest, we can do a lot of things, but we really don't believe that we have the measures to influence the authorities. But now inside, because it's a coalition, there's one big political party and there are two little ones, but without those two little ones, the parliament doesn't have the majority, and there is something going on. So yeah, but also what I want to say that there's a lot of petitions concerning the coronavirus to the EU, I think, and it's also hard to persuade people to sign another petition. So I also think that that might be the problem with getting people to sign the petition. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah, I think on this last element, I think one thing that makes a difference, even though it's a light difference, but it's super important, it's that we have an hook to the actual official petition instrument of the European Parliament. So this means that in 1 week we were able to have the European Parliament discussing it. At least it was mentioned during the plenary session, and also now with the steps that I described, there is going to be an actual debate about it. And I think also from a communication perspective, we can work on this concept, but I think showing the value of participatory democracy as the thing that really open up the dialogue between the citizen and institution is what makes the difference. Of course, it's not easy because, as Pier Virgilio D'Astoli often says, there is an industry of petitions, appeals, open letters, and stuff. So highlighting the difference is quite difficult. But I think at least if we have the chance to talk to people, this is the value of democracy and not just campaigning or advocacy per se. So I think this is a key element of differentiation that maybe, I mean, if anyone has a suggestion on how to better value this in our communication and practical ideas, let's do it. But from a conceptual perspective and political perspective, I think this is a key difference. And maybe also for you guys in Poland, the outcomes of the petition are quite interesting because the parliament can trigger, for example, investigative missions or other type of initiatives, so passing the issues. So maybe I think if you have a good network of people asking for the same thing, one way could be to position a petition to the European Parliament and ask for this emergency procedure. So the more we ask, the more it's going to be institutionalized somehow. Maybe we can talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. So I think in terms, no, is there anyone who want?
No, there was, it was me. If I can, Virginia, if there is just 2 minutes.
Yes, Michele. Sorry, sorry.
No, sorry also again, because I have this computer with a problem with the cam, and yes. And it doesn't work on my iPhone, this app, I don't know why. By the way, yes, I'm Che Fiorillo from Civico Europa. First of all, I want to congratulate Virginia, Marco, Lorenzo, and all the team of humans to reach this important result with the petition. And I think, yes, the petition probably will not have too much consequences, but it's important to have done this also to show that there is a will of this council, this network of association to use the institutionalized instrument that currently we have, as it is also the European Citizen Initiative that is another instrument in reality that is a bit tricky, as someone already underlined, no? Because almost no one of the ECI, if I'm not mistaken, has reached a real result. There is ongoing a reform of the instrument. I don't remember at what point they are with this reform. But yes, also this instrument. But I think it's important to go by graduation. Let's say escalation. If we can use this word that could be a bit dangerous to use. But if we want somehow to build up a civic constituent power, because actually it's this that we need now. I mean, let's see what the European Council outcome will be. It's not so likely they will decide finally on Eurobond, despite the sorry words of van der Leyen in the last hours towards Italy. But also, if they decide for the Eurobonds, it's quite sure that will be not enough, no, for our perspective. So I think really it's important to, as Marco proposed, to maintain this network and strengthen it, and to have another, let's say, official council, and also on this idea that we debated last time to have these European citizen assemblies, and maybe also this council as a sort of prefiguration of what could be also an institutionalized one. About Van Rijbroek, in Civico Europa, I mean, we have this Jonathan Moscovici that is working in the Brussels Parliament and helped the president in drafting this mixed commission of citizens and MPs, which is also another possible instrument of deliberative democracy, and is like the co-coordinator of G1000 after Van Rijbroek decided not to deal directly with G1000. This movement that they organized, among the first ones, these sort of citizen assemblies when there was a vacation of power in Brussels, in Belgium. So maybe if you want, Lorenzo, we can also talk about this. We can try through him to reach Van Rijbroek, maybe. I don't know. We can talk about it. Because it would be really important to have him on board. So he's very busy, actually. So, I don't know. And so one question I have, just this is more like my political side talking, but I am a bit concerned about the last signatures by MPs. I've seen someone by Lega Nord and Fratelli d'Italia, so I would like to know, I mean, I understand maybe it was for the commission issue, no, to have the committee, sorry, in the committee to have more support, but could somehow also to refrain people by signing the petition to have these names publicly written. I don't know.
Well, I think as a method we should be open. If
also I agree with.
If a tool can be used, we cannot be the one who discriminate, deciding who can sign and who cannot sign. I mean, for me, if a member of parliament from the Lega Nord sign a petition declaring the opposite of what its party is declaring, is more her problem than my problem. I mean,
I agree. In that presented like this, it's productive, in fact.
So this is why I think the more cross-party we remain, the more effective we are. Of course, without renouncing to our ideas and to our proposal. But if there are others who join the proposal, I think it should be accepted.
Okay.
I think the other.
It's important to present in the communication this fact when there will be some press release, but just as a suggestion.
Yes, probably it's. I mean, it's an approach, and probably the more we do it, the more it gets clear. The other thing is, if you guys in your own countries can identify MEPs that can support the petition, I think this helps because, of course, a lot of us are Italians, so it's a bit easier to get support of Italians, but I think it's important to, I mean, it's not a difficult petition to support for MEPs that have a bit of common sense in their brains, or even local majors, or at a regional level. For example, I don't know how it's in other countries, but in Italy, for example, everything is, the health system is mainly managed at a regional level. So the governors are in charge of a lot of decisions. And so I think providing them a European solution can quite help. So if you want to try to write letters to local elected representatives of all the parties that you want, and if Varoufakis wants to support this, Michele, I would be happy. So I mean,
no, also I would be happy, but the point is that because Patrizia also tried, but I think this name could be a bit a difficulty. But yes, I mean, also with the federalist movement, I am also part of it. Sometime we invite, in fact, Lega Nord people and Forza Italia. The point is, Fratelli d'Italia I think, is the most problematic. It's good. I mean, also with Civic Europa, when we started, we say we should talk also with citizens voting Marine Le Pen to convince, I mean, to have involve them in deliberative processes, and maybe then they will change idea somehow. Maybe the MPs of Fratelli d'Italia is the most problematic because they are nationalists. So, but
it's not always so in this way, because, for example, we have some contacts with Crosetto. No, maybe Lorenzo can confirm that is a member of Fratelli d'Italia. So for who doesn't know, is a far right party in Italy, Fratelli d'Italia. But anyway, I think that we should think that when we think about participatory democracy, our intent is to involve all the citizens, and all citizens and people have different ideas and vote in different ways, but our idea is to collect everyone. So if we have strong proposals, as Marco Cappato was saying, I agree totally with him. If we have strong proposal and we see people that agree on our proposal, even if they come from, I don't know, far right, but we don't have to do nothing because we have an identity. Maybe are they that agree with our proposal, maybe they should ask themselves some question. I mean, why am a far right person, for example?
I think that the far right, sorry for jumping in, the far right have an agenda of confusing things, of taking over the democracy discourse and convincing people that they represent the true will of the people, and of saying we are the true Democrats while these institutions are not democratic. The liberal elite is not democratic. They are all controlled by, racism. So basically, they have a clear strategy in jumping on board of these initiatives of ours to try and legitimize themselves and minimize us. And I would say that ideally, having a quarantine method where we literally just say, no, you are not democratic, you cannot sign because you are a racist. I think that's a perfectly legitimate thing to say, because people who do not represent democratic values and want to destroy democracy should not be able to legitimize themselves in this way. But if this is too labor intensive and we don't want to waste our time with these games, then we need to say very, very clearly that we are against the far right and against nationalists and against xenophobes, and if they sign it, it's their problem. But we do not accept their support. So I think that this is quite an important thing, because again, they want to legitimize themselves by jumping on our backs, basically.
Maybe I suggest we have a few flows that we can follow. And I think it should be up for debate on the way how we build initiatives and discussion. In my opinion, the fact that they signed something that talks about solidarity, welfare, federalist approach to Europe, and a lot of other stuff. I mean, it's their name below something that might be against of the general approach of their party. So it's an individual choice of the representatives. But maybe let's keep discussing this, not now maybe, but I think as an approach, maybe if you want in the section that talks about the politician, we can say that it's a trans-party approach, but the list speaks for itself. So, I mean, I think we should keep it as it is for now and discuss eventually how to treat each case. But I mean, every individual is responsible of his own signature. So, okay, in terms of next step, I'd say let's meet again next Thursday. Let's have exchanges on how maybe to try to follow up on what we discussed, and with the goal to having a new Council on Participatory Democracy around the 19th of April, which would be in 2 weeks though. Okay. So, okay, we will have further conversations. In the meantime, we will share the official statement information about the decision of the Petty Committee on the petition, and let's try and relaunch the subscription and supporters to increase the variety of people who support it. One last thing, I think it would be helpful to try to have some format, sort of live discussions or interviews or things like that to document how we're working on the initiative, on the petition in particular, on the situation in the different countries and contexts. So maybe if you want to write something or circulate some documents that you think can help to explain what we are doing, how we are doing it, we can host it on the website, and we can give visibility to the reasons why for each person to take part in this process. I'd say it's all done for tonight. And write us if you have any comment, feedback, and additional ideas. Thank you very much.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.